Great to have you with us here on Baseball Tonight. Sunday night countdown leading into the Mariners taking on the Cubs. Kyle Seager, fifth consecutive 20-home run season for him. Kris Bryant has been delivering for the Cubs, very much in the thick of the MVP race. Cano and Cruz trying to keep Seattle afloat and charging in that wild card race. And Addison Russell, one of the steady defensive anchors for the Chicago Cubs team, currently first in the NL Central. Baseball Tonight starts now. Baseball Tonight, Sunday night countdown is presented by Chevrolet. And with that, we say welcome. We'll get to Dallas Braden, Eduardo Perez, Tim Kurkjian, Buster Olney, Jesse Rogers, Jess Mendoza, and plenty more. Because the stars are up for a cast of thousands with the trade deadline just under 21 hours away. With Jim Bowden, our MLB front office insider, all over all the trade talk, I'm Adnan Verp. So let's go through all these major deals that have happened so far, Jim, and look ahead to all that has happened thus far. Mark Melancon traded from the Pirates to the Washington Nationals.
The Nationals did not want to give up any of their top pitching prospects like Lucas Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, or Coda Glover, and they didn't to get the closer they wanted in Mark Melancon.
Matt Kemp traded the Braves. Explain this one for me.
Braves wanted a right-hand power hitter to open their new stadium with next year. They can check that box off right now, and the Padres paid $10.5 million to get the Braves to take him.
And as far as the Brewers and the Indians, they agreed to the trade with Jonathan Lucroy. All good, right?
Yeah, not really. He said no. He had a no-trade clause there, and that's a deal that I think he's going to regret nixing.
Yeah, the Indians certainly had some problems when it comes to catching and offense, and that's why it would have made sense. Andrew Miller, though, is going to Cleveland.
Indians with a legitimate shot now at a World Series, having him pitch the ninth inning. Cody Allen goes to the eighth inning, but the Yankees got a huge haul in this deal. Two great prospects out of four.
And as you mentioned, we thought Lucroy was going to Cleveland, but he exercises his no-trade clause, one of 8 teams that he could void the deal to. Here's how he explained his decision.
Some circumstances came up that made me void it, obviously. And I think when it eventually comes out, everyone will understand why. And that's it. So I'm not going to comment any specifics, nothing like that. As much as I'd like to, I'm respecting the process and what the Brewers are trying to do in terms of another trade. If that's going to happen or not, I don't know. As of right now, I'm still a Brewer, and I'm going to be until someone tells me different. When you're dealing with life-changing, altering decisions like this, there are a lot of different factors that come into play. Mostly it's family, and the other half of that is your future in this game, your career. So there's a lot of different things to take in, and whenever those things don't line up, then decisions have to be made that might be tough. But that's the way it's got to be because, you know, in my eyes, we have to look out for our best interests.
Let's bring in Buster Olney. Buster will, of course, be a part of the game with the Cubs and Mariners coming up at the top of the hour. But, Buster, what's your reaction to the Lucroy decision?
Well, I tell you what, it is a surprise because Lucroy had a chance to go to a team that had a chance to win the World Series in the Cleveland Indians. But on the other hand, he's in a position where he has a no-trade clause, partial no-trade clause. He had some leverage in that spot. He had the opportunity to get something out of that. And I know that when the call went from the Brewers to the Indians, and they told them that Lucroy was looking for some kind of things in addition to the salary he was going to pay, what the Indians said was, hey, look, we agreed to a deal involving this player with this contract. If he wants anything more, that's on you guys. And that's why I think when you have the benefit of 20/20 hindsight, I think the Brewers really didn't prepare the Indians and Lucroy as much as they could have.
And Lucroy's representatives asked for the club option year of next year to be taken out of the deal. And obviously that wouldn't make any sense for the Indians, who are going to trade 3 really good prospects to get him. But I don't understand from Lucroy's perspective, because Milwaukee can turn around right now and trade him to 21 other teams without his consent. They can turn around and trade him, for example, to the Atlanta Braves, who are in discussions to try to get Lucroy, like the Texas Rangers. So for me, here's an opportunity for him to go to a contending team, to catch the best starting rotation in the American League with the Indians, now one of the best closers in the game in Andrew Miller. And, oh, by the way, they're managed by Terry Francona, who's won a World Series managing the Boston Red Sox. So for me, quite frankly, I don't understand this decision by Lucroy. Now, I understand the no trade, Adnan, but I think if he had gone and said, hey, give me $1 million to waive my no trade and let each team split, I think they could have worked this out. I hope that he marinates on it, thinks about it, and changes his mind by tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with regards to not only the Indians, but now Lucroy, if Cleveland still wants that power bat, who they could focus on now. Buster, Baltimore Orioles now first place in the American League East, adding a name as well today in Wade Miley. How important is that addition to the starting pitching?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The news just came down here as the Mariners are taking batting practice to the other players. Ariel Miranda, a pitcher, goes from Baltimore to Seattle. Look, it just didn't work out for Miley with the Mariners with an ERA of 4.98, a 7-8 record. But Baltimore right now, starved for starting pitching. We know that they don't have a lot in their farm system to give up. So this is a case of taking on Miley's $8.9 million for 2017 to get that arm for their rotation.
All right, so that's the decision with regards to the Baltimore Orioles. Jim, there's other names still, of course, here percolating. What else do you think the Yankees could do? Because still a lot of talk around Carlos Beltran and others.
Well, there's no doubt. And there's a lot of teams looking for a bat right now. Cincinnati's still shopping Jay Bruce. They've got the Giants in on him, the Dodgers in on him, the New York Mets as well. So he's going to be an interesting guy to move. But Beltran continued to swing the bat again today. If I'm a contending club, I would be in on Beltran. But here's the one problem, man. He's better fit in the American League where he can DH and play right field. Not a lot of American League clubs right now looking for that kind of bat, so we'll have to wait and see.
Buster, what else do you think the Yankees will do? Obviously been busy with the Chapman and Miller deals.
Yeah, look, once you trade Aroldis Chapman and Andrew Miller, even if you added Tyler Clippard, you're not pretending for anybody. No one's going to believe you're not rebuilding, and that's exactly what's going on here. Carlos Beltran is a free agent at year's end. The Yankees don't intend to give him a qualifying offer. So at some point between now and 4 o'clock on Monday, you can bet that they're going to trade Beltran to another team that can use that bat to continue this process of getting younger, moving on to the next generation of players. There also have been in conversations about Brian McCann, their veteran catcher, who's got 2 years left on his deal, as well as outfielder Brett Gardner. They are open for business, Adnan.
All right, Buster. Jim, you also mentioned Jay Bruce. That's a name that's been hot and percolating. He's got 25 home runs again. Which teams are targeting him most avidly?
Los Angeles Dodgers, San Francisco Giants, Cleveland Indians. Although he has a no trade to Cleveland, he's told his friends he'll waive the no trade to go there. And also the other thing to keep in mind is to watch the Tampa Bay Rays right now. They've been talking to a lot of teams about their starting pitching, and they're a team that could make a big move here as well.
Buster, so far we've had some names being moved, but we want a big fish. What are the odds of a Chris Sale, a Chris Archer? Who you got?
Well, when you talk with executives with other teams, they expect the Los Angeles Dodgers to do something big, and they've talked to a lot of teams about a lot of different ideas. The Chicago White Sox about Chris Sale, for example. Rival executives say there's no question if the Dodgers put in their best prospects, they could potentially convince the White Sox to move him. They've been talking with the Rays about a package of players that would also include Yasiel Puig going from Los Angeles to Tampa Bay. So we'll see what they do in the end. To me, the center of the trade market for the next 20 hours or so, the Texas Rangers and the Los Angeles Dodgers, they're making a lot of things happen.
And I think the one team to watch on Chris Sale is the Boston Red Sox. The White Sox scouts have been watching their farm system for the last 3 or 4 days. All the young players having big weeks. Rafael Devers, 4 home runs in his last 8 games. Andrew Benintendi with 3 hits again today. The Red Sox match up really well here with the White Sox. They have a lot that they can trade. Michael Kopech, a young pitcher. They might even listen on Yohan Moncada. But remember, Dave Dombrowski of the Red Sox, his history has been making the big deals. He did it with David Price. He's drafted guys like Verlander and Beckett. It wouldn't surprise me, Adnan, if he ends up at the last minute making a big sale deal.
And maybe that big deal will happen. But, Buster, right now the headline for a lot of people is the Indians thought they had Jonathan Lucroy, and instead it doesn't happen. The player perspective here could be interesting, but we'll see. We'll get back to you in just a second, Buster. Jim, don't get any sleep tonight, okay?
Okay, I won't. I promise. All right,
see you, man. Thank you. More of Jim Bowden, of course, in the days ahead when it comes to all things trade deadline and hours ahead. Player reaction. Oh, hello, Tim Kirkson and Alex Braden, Eduardo Perez. Okay, Eddie, what do you think? If you hear this deal, you go, hang on a second, you don't want to go to a contender? What's Lucroy thinking here?
I'd be insulted if I'm his future teammates, let's say the Cleveland Indians, you know you have all the pieces in order, everything's waiting for you, the catchers haven't been able to produce, then all of a sudden you have that bat. You have the catcher putting the 1-2-3 wiggle behind the plate with the best pitching rotation in the game, and he doesn't want to go there? There's a lot of questions to be asked. There's a double-edged sword to it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you play the game for one thing, to win it, to get a ring on your finger, one thing that I don't have.
Well, that may be the one thing that a lot of guys play the game for, but that's not the one thing that every guy plays the game for. And I don't want to put words in Lucroy's mouth or call him something he's not, but it appears to me, in just listening to him speak, that he understands the value and importance of being able to secure a future for himself in this game. And so he has to weigh playing time opportunities behind a guy like Yan Gomes. Call Yan Gomes whatever kind of player you want. Call Lucroy whatever you'd like, but that's Lucroy weighing his options. So he's got to be able to be in a position to not only make himself attractive this year, but further down the road. And if it's about compensation and getting something that he wanted, that he's put himself in a position to deserve, then I think you have to be refreshed at this day and age from an athlete to tell you, you can take your ring. I'd like my future to be secure.
And we're not done on Lucroy. The Rangers are interested, but I was told tonight not as heavily as people think they are. But he's still out there, and we still got some time to go.
All right, let's check out some highlights from a busy Sunday in Major League Baseball. The A's taking on those Indians, so they were thwarted in their attempt to get Jonathan Lucroy, but Andrew Miller's on the way. And a rough outing for Sonny Gray. Bottom of the third, facing the catcher Roberto Perez. 2-on-2 count, a strike on the bunt attempt, and then goes low, ball 3, Dallas.
Yeah, and Gray's a guy who does a good job of getting himself back into the count. He's got the stuff to do so, but he's really struggled all year long, in my opinion. He hasn't gotten ahead of guys when he needs to. He's battled some mysterious illnesses throughout the year, so he just doesn't have his legs underneath him. It's been a tough go for Sonny Gray.
And so he walks Perez, bases loaded, and then Eddie, after Carlos Santana strikes out, Jason Kipnis brings 2 home.
And the Indians are playing National League Baseball as an American League team. There you had Perez bunting in the 3rd inning. You don't see that. You don't see Terry Francona doing that at all. But then with that situation to do, it opens the gates for a big inning.
And that's Mike Napoli there. Sonny Gray, we can't figure this out, fellas. This is 5 times this year. He's given up 7 runs in a game. He'd only done it once in his career entering this year. And now he's done it 5 times. One reason why he's still with the A's, he's struggling so badly.
You're right, Timmy. Tied his career high with 7 earned runs. 5th time he's done that this season. Nobody else has done it more than 3 times. He's already allowed more earned runs this season than he did all of last season, and about half as many innings. So Corey Kluber, though, Dallas, is pitching well, using all of his, as you like to say, repertoire.
Using the entire toolbox, man. But this is what makes Kluber so special, is on any given day, if he doesn't have his absolute best stuff, he knows how to compete, he knows how to get outs, he knows how to expand the zone when he needs to. And you take a look there, 93 up in the zone against the Chris Davis, a lot of power from the right side. He just renders these guys useless.
Certainly did. Kluber, 7 innings, 5 hits, 7 strikeouts. As Indians win this one, 8-0 is the final. So Cleveland looking good atop the American League Central. We'll be focusing on the National League Central as the Chicago Cubs will be our featured game coming up just in under an hour from now as they're hosting the Seattle Mariners as we recap the series. First off on Friday night, Jason Hayward going deep.
Pitch up in the zone. Iwakuma could not get out of the 3rd inning, just struggling against the Chicago Cubs, and now knowing why they're so good.
And Anthony Rizzo, again, a big, strong, middle-of-the-order hitter, hits a ball down the line like that. Not uncommon for him to do something like that with his 2-strike approach.
And on Saturday, Aroldis Chapman blowing the save. What?
Yeah, not something they expected there in Wrigleyville. You bring in the lefty,
And a left-handed hitter gets a hit off of Aroldis Chapman with runners in scoring position late. That's happened one other time in his career.
Old teammates in Cuba.
There you go.
Let's take a look at the Seattle Mariners starting lineup. And 3-4-5 really stands out here, Eddie. Cano, Cruz, and Kyle Seager.
They're so good. And the hidden gem is Kyle Seager. Everybody talks about his baby brother, but still, the years that he has had, 5th straight season with 20 home runs or more, he has been consistent offensively and definitely defensively.
That's the lineup. The pitcher on the mound will be Felix Hernandez, who's debuted at 19 years of age. At the time, he was the first teenager in almost 20 years to make multiple starts in the major leagues. Time to go to our Domino's pregame HQ report. And that's why, Buster, only it feels like Felix has been around forever because of the fact he camped when he was so young. But now, unfortunately for Seattle, he's regressed. The velocity isn't there. What's the latest when it comes to Felix Hernandez?
Yeah, and the biggest challenge the Mariners feel now for Felix Hernandez is getting the differential back between that fastball and that tremendous changeup. While his fastball velocity has gone down from 95.8 in his rookie year to just over 90 miles per hour this year, his changeup is still around 87, 88 miles per hour. So the Mariners internally are having some conversations about trying to figure out how to get that velocity of his changeup down. But look, this is someone who knows how to pitch. He's got a great feel for pitching. They believe that he'll figure it out, and they know that tonight he loves the big stage. When they saw that they were going to be on Sunday Night Baseball against the Cubs in Wrigley Field, Mariners made sure he's the guy on the mound tonight. All
right, let's believe in him. Buster will check back in with you shortly, but clearly, Dallas, I mean, he does do well on the big stage, to Buster's point. First start at Yankee Stadium, 1 earned run, 7 innings, Fenway Park through a shutout. But he's not the same guy he once was.
And Buster nailed it right on the head. When we start talking about struggles of a guy like Felix Hernandez, the first thing I immediately went to was the separation and fastball change of velocity. Having sat there in a front row seat in the Coliseum and in Seattle, having watched him do work for as many years as I did, that was one thing that I noted, was the just tremendous separation and deception, fastball, change of velocity. The separation is not there. It's at best these days 3 to 5 miles an hour. It was upwards of 10 in 09, 2010. And that's what you think about when you think deception. This is what these hitters pick up. Fastball, arm speed. Here comes this devastating changeup with the separation and movement. That's what has got to get back.
I was a teammate of his in 06, and then I coached against him. And one of the things that players always came back to the dugout saying is not only that separation, but the movement on the changeup. It's like 3 pitches in one. He could cut it, he could sink it, or it could just go straight. When you have 3 pitches in one, that's a big difference. Lately, I've only seen that one pitch. That changeup has been straight. He has to get more movement on it.
You look at the number of starts in his career and the number of innings in his career. The last pitcher to have this many innings before he turned 30 was Fernando Valenzuela. The last pitcher to have this many starts when he turned 30 was Bert Blyleven, showing again the workload that Felix Hernandez has had is enormous, and eventually it's going to take its toll.
Felix will be toeing the rubber for the Seattle Mariners. Chicago Cubs will be facing him. This is the lineup they're throwing out there, Eddie, and well documented again. Fowler now, his return, how vital he is, setting up Kris Bryant, who's been great almost the last 30 games.
Well, by Fowler getting on, it just it takes a lot of pressure off the rest of the guys. You know you're going to get the fastball when you have a lot of speed at the top. But most importantly, the guys that embrace runners in scoring position, Rizzo, Zobrist, even Addison Russell, you see him in the 5 spot, loves to hit under pressure late in games. That's one of the biggest reasons why Joe Maddon has him right in the middle of that lineup.
Once again, our Domino's pregame HQ report. Back to Buster Olney, who will be a part of the broadcast coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern. Buster, Brian Matusz, the former Oriole pitcher, getting the call for Chicago tonight. What should we expect?
Well, it's very interesting that he's getting this start the day before the trade deadline. This is essentially an audition for a national television audience and also for the industry of baseball, including the Cubs. Look, the Cubs signed Brian Matusz back in June, and they told him that they found some things that they thought would really help him. First, working in more pitches, and also making an adjustment with his mechanics, with his legs. He's been working on those in the minor leagues. The Cubs felt like he was making progress, so they decided to call him up for this game tonight against the Mariners. And look, this time of year, small sample size can actually mean something. If he pitches well, and they're hoping to get 5 innings out of him tonight, maybe the Cubs keep him. Maybe some team sees him tonight and decides, you know what? We'll see what we can give the Cubs to get him.
Yeah, Buster, since June 20th, the Cubs starters ERA is actually 15th in baseball, so it has been middling. Great stuff as always from you. Look forward to you being a part of the broadcast coming up at 8 o'clock Eastern. More highlights for you. The Nationals and the Giants. Bottom of the first, Tim. Hunter Pence is up. Good to have him back if you're a San Francisco Giants fan. Pence hitting a high fly ball in the right field foul territory, and Bryce Harper making the catch as he trips over the mound.
The bullpen mounds are in play in a relatively new ballpark. Like, you know, they forgot to put the bullpen in when they built the stadium, and now it's on the field.
2 places you have to watch out if you're a corner outfield. This ballpark, Wrigley Field are 2 that come to mind.
Bottom of the 5th, Madison Bumgarner. Dallas going to love this. Pinch hitting for Matt Cain, the 9th pinch hitting appearance of his career. First this season, there's a double.
Well, it's just standard operating procedure these days in the life of Madison Bumgarner. You're angry about your hitting numbers. You're angry if you don't get the call to go pinch hit for Matty Cain, but this is what he provides Bruce Bochy. is a legitimate, serious option.
I love what FP Santangelo noted. You have a pitcher hitting for a pitcher, then a pinch runner, which is a pitcher. I mean, look at the money involved in all of this. Kane, Bumgarner, and then Samardzija.
Dallas, let me say it. Athlete.
You got it, Timmy.
You were jumping out of the table for that one.
Samardzija, the first Giants pitcher to score as a pinch runner since Matt Cain, July 30th, 2012. A lost gnome. Okay. Clearly 3-1 the final there. So the best record right now in the National League, the Cubs have the 2-game edge over the Washington Nationals and those San Francisco Giants, and the Dodgers, without Kershaw, just 4.5 back. Much more coming up here on Baseball Tonight.
Today, we're talking about Automotive Awards. Which one of these awards appeals most to you?
Top safety pick, mid-size car, and SUV.
Most dependable means a lot to me.
The green car, because I like fuel efficiency.
What if there was a car company that received all of these awards?
One company won an award in all these? Chevy.
Chevy.
Chevrolet is the most awarded car company of the last 2 years.
I love it. It's fierce.
How would you sum this car up in one word?
Incredible, amazing. I can't use one word.
These pizzas are the same, but depending on the day of the week, they aren't the same price. That's not right, so we're fixing it. Now you can carry out large 3-topping Domino's pizzas for $7.99 every day of the week.
Get up, get on up, get up, get on up, stay on the scene, get on up, like a sex machine, get on up. Get up, get on up, get up, get on up, get up.
You sell these things to the Pentagon? Pretty sick, huh?
They called guys like us war dogs, bottom feeders who make money off of war without ever stepping foot on the battlefield.
Excuse me, don't worry, I have to go first. I'm American.
You seriously want to drive to Baghdad?
We're gun runners. Let's go run some guns.
They're getting closer. Come on, man, go.
You drove these through the triangle of death.
War Dogs, rated R.
This is your moment. This is your time.
I believe in you.
Congratulations, bro. Good job well done.
I'm so proud of you.
You are amazing.
Hanes underwear with revolutionary X-Temp technology is designed to respond to your body temperature to help keep you cool. Let's put it to the test.
Yep.
Oh. Just gonna play it.
Wedge?
Yep. Next!
It speeds evaporation to help keep you cool and dry. Hanes X-Temp technology. Because when you're cool, you're comfortable.
I think you got this.
Mobility is very important to me. That's why I use E-Trade Mobile. It's on all my mobile devices, so it suits my mobile lifestyle. And it keeps my investments fully mobile, even when I'm on the move.
Sign up at eTrade.com and get up to $600.
I'm like a sponge for this stuff. I can do this job in my sleep better than some people can do awake. I just want to make sure this brain stays in hyperdrive.
We hear you. That's why AARP created Staying Sharp. If you don't think this is right for me when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP.
We've worked hard to get where we are, but we deserve more, and there's more to be had. It's what we find in the water. More resistance, less impact. More challenge, less pain. More us, multiplied by the power of us. And boom. More heart, mind, and soul. There's fit, and there's Speedo Fit. Get more at SpeedoUSA.com.
Domino's has a $7.99 Monday through Thursday carryout deal. But if you carried out Friday through Sunday, you might have felt bamboozled. So we're extending the deal to every day and giving people who paid more a little payback. Like the Smith family, who got free pizza for a year. They love pizza. We gave Brad a day with the Noid. You're welcome. And we gave Rajesh a nightlight. Payback. Go to pizzapayback.com for a chance to get yours.
And carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99. Now, every day.
Baseball tonight. Sunday Night Countdown is presented by Chevrolet. Find new roads. And in part by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
Pressure's a good thing. Pressure's a good thing. That means you're doing something right. That means people have expectations of you. And that's what our manager, Joe, says all the time. Embrace it. Don't ever let the pressure exceed the pleasure of playing this game. And I think the group that we have is so positive and so there's so much energy to it that it's just going to produce wins.
Kris Bryant certainly has been a vital cog for the Chicago Cubs this season, a vital part of our baseball machine, our friend Jessica Mendoza. Jess, what's the key to Kris Bryant's success? Only in his second season, he's a stud.
You know, it's part of his approach, his mindset, but his dad, Mike Bryant, who's his hitting coach from a young age, taught him to hit under the ball. And, I mean, Eddie, you know this. As young kids, a lot of kids, especially back in the day, were always taught hit the top half of the ball, hit the middle of the ball, even though they didn't always do that. And for Kris, if you look at his style of hitting, look at the way that he swings the bat, he gets under the baseball. His swing path is definitely steeper than you're going to see for most hitters. And he's built for it. There's a simplicity to his swing. If you look at his lower half, the way that he's able to hit the ball, here he is talking about not even just getting under the ball, but his ability to get back, his barrel back in the zone. So not only are you talking about hitting under it, which is why you see the slugging percentage, why you see the home runs, but also his ability to have length within the zone. So he can hit a variety of pitches, whether it's an off-speed pitch, whether it's something that's fast, he gets his barrel back in the zone early, and that's something he was taught at a young age. Ted Williams was a huge influence in the Bryant family, so something that's definitely been passed on, but you don't always hear when you're a young kid is hit under the ball, and that's been Kris Bryant.
Yeah, he and Anthony Rizzo, quite the studs there in the middle of that Chicago Cubs lineup. Jessica Mendoza, part of the call coming up top of the hour. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, Adnan.
All right, so certainly look at this Mariners and Cubs matchup here, and a lot of conversation about the Cubs and how good that they have been. But, Tim, do you feel like they're becoming stronger now as the season's progressing?
Yeah, and they're getting healthier. Dexter Fowler is a crucial guy, and now they've got him back. That changes a lot of things. I'm interested to see if they're going to do anything before 4 o'clock tomorrow. They're still in the market for a starting pitcher because their starting rotation, as you pointed out, Adnan, isn't the same. We'll see where they go from here. But everyday lineup-wise, I think they're in good shape once they get everybody healthy.
Cardinals trying to chase down those Chicago Cubs. The newest face in a Marlins uniform, the clean-shaven Andrew Cashner starting against the Cardinals. Top of the first, Cashner throws inside, hits Aledmys Diaz on the right thumb. Cardinals all-star. That's got to hurt.
Got to hurt. They diagnosed it as a bruised thumb, and they will continue to look at it tomorrow. But you see that, and then the adjustment right here made with the Chevrolet getting the double play. Cashner can minimize outs and help the bullpen.
Piscotty, they're grinding in a double play. The Martinez hitting Giancarlo Stanton. The next batter is Marcell Ozuna. And Ozuna hammering this pitch for a 2-run double.
Hey, should this be done in the first inning, Eddie? A little payback?
No, especially when you have two teams, same record, battling for a wild card spot. Let's get outs. You can't not. When you have a matchup of Martinez-Stanton, that should not happen.
Piscotty pulling the ball to the left field corner. Tommy Pham trying to score from first, and Adeiny Echeverria's throw the plate goes out of play. What happened?
A little bit of an airmail situation there. Trying to make a strong throw. Just gets underneath it here.
If it was the BFG at catcher, it would have been fine. The big friendly giant would have had that. Instead, it's game tied at 4 after the error. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, 10th pitch of the at-bat. It's Echeverria trying to atone for that throwing error, and he'll shoot a single into center.
So shoots the single into center field and really puts now the Cardinal defense against the wall. They have to be playing no doubles. That's the run that can beat you. This should never happen. Never happen. You have to, if you're not going to catch the ball 100%, you better make sure that you get out of bounds. You have runners at first and third. Derek Dietrich.
Yeah.
Oh man, look at those muscles, D.
Look. Oh, it's better. The monkey hit in the face of the pie, or just how good he looked. Snap of the 0 for 23 streak. The Marlins would have 5-4 second walk-off this season.
Fourth walk-off triple this year, 3 in the last 2 weeks.
Terry Collins, the Mets, looking to avoid the sweep against the Rockies. Tough break in the first. Neil Walker tripling off the wall right, but Asdrubal Cabrera injuring himself, hustling around third. and he will be carried off the field with a strained patellar tendon.
Eddie, that's the bad knee from earlier, isn't it?
That's the bad knee that kept him out of most of spring training, and Sandy Alderson must be on the phone right now to get a piece for that middle of the lineup shortstop.
Noah Syndergaard laboring early. 96 pitches in the fifth. Carlos Gonzalez, RBI double.
He's in the middle of the zone, and Carlos Gonzalez, I maintain, has one of the sweetest swings from the left side in baseball today.
I'll second that. Huge play later in the inning. Syndergaard's pitch gets away from Rene Rivera. Gonzalez tried to score, but great play by Rivera.
He's been a nice little jolt as a backup catcher for Travis d'Arnaud. I wonder if that was a safer out, was it?
They asked for the challenge, and Rivera just beat him.
And today's his birthday.
Nice, all the way around. Syndergaard out of the inning. Bottom of the seventh, Mets down 4-3. Colorado decides to keep Boone Logan in. Neil Walker, 3-run home run.
6 home runs and 78 at-bats this season. In 7 seasons with the Pirates, 6 home runs and 677 at-bats.
His right-handed swing, he's got power with it, he's never had it before. Amazing.
Not used to all those numbers from Eddie either. That's normally...
No, I am flustered. I'm exhausted.
Trade deadline. Eddie needs a jolt. Jonathan Lucroy, so he's blocked the trade of the Indians earlier on Sunday. He's not in the starting lineup, meaning he still could get flipped. Bottom of the fifth, Brewers up 3-2, and it's Chris Carter batting. Chris Carter's got 24 home runs.
Chris Carter, this young man has some ridiculous pop. There is not a state park or a national park that can hold this kid.
He texted me during the home run derby and said, I can beat them.
I agree.
I thought you were going to say he texted you during the home run trot. That would have been something. Bottom of the sixth, Keon Broxton batting with 2 on. Lays down the sacrifice. David Freese fields, fires to first. Josh Harrison collides with Broxton covering first, and he held on for the out. Check it again.
That was a slow developing situation.
Whoa.
Gets hit, gets up, and then goes down again.
Harrison left the game right leg discomfort. Bottom of the eighth, Brewers still up 4-2, and they're sending Lucroy up to bat for the Patriots. The home crowd saying, well, it could be his final at bat as a Brewer. Let's thank him for all he's done. Maybe some magic left in Lucroy's bat as a Milwaukee Brewer?
No.
Flies out to right.
F9, can of corn.
The speculation continues, though. Where could Lucroy end up? 4-2 as Milwaukee playing spoiler now against those Pirates. The Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, Bud Norris getting the call for Los Angeles. Top of the first, Norris facing Michael Bourne. Bourne swings and misses the fastball. After the pitch, Dave Robertson, the Dodgers trainer, went out to the mound.
Another reason here why the Dodgers have to do something before 4 o'clock tomorrow. They're laying in the weeds for Chris Sale and a bunch of others. Logically, you have to think they're going to do something big.
Bourne takes the Norris pitch to shallow center. He's out, but Roberts out to the mound again. And Bud Norris left after 13 pitches. Muscle tightness in his back.
Yeah, you see him reaching for that scapula area. Could be that subscapularis. We'll see.
Dr. Braden all over it. Bob of the fourth, a man on third for Howie Kendrick. Patrick Corbin, that's an RBI single, ties it up to 3. And then a man on second for Yasiel Puig. First start since July 20th. Yasmani Tomas cannot make the diving grab.
Well, that route was not a good route at all by Yasmani Tomas. Going back and then across, that's not going to work.
RBI double for Puig, and then there's Seager. Best offensive player the Dodgers have, 11-3 in the top of the eighth. Seager's got 18 home runs. Here's how it looks right now in the wild card standings. The Dodgers right now and the Marlins holding it down. St. Louis a game back of Miami, and then it's the Mets and Pittsburgh and the Rockies. Much more coming up right after this. Hey, Harry Carey.
If you have moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis and you're talking to your doctor about your medication, this is Humira. This is Humira helping to relieve my pain and protect my joints from further damage. This is Humira helping me go further. Humira works for many adults. It targets and helps to block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to RA symptoms. Doctors have been prescribing Humira for over 13 years.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB. Hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Ready for a new chapter? Talk to your rheumatologist. This is Humira at work.
Huh. 7 ingredients for better gas mileage. Wonder what they are.
Corrosion inhibitor.
Solvent fluid.
Demulsifier.
Fuel detergent number 1.
Fuel detergent number 2.
Anti-adhesion compound. And marker molecules. Wow. I did not know that.
With 7 key ingredients, new Synergy gasoline is engineered to help give you better gas mileage. Exxon and Mobil. Energy lives here.
Your brother betrayed you and your family for the power of Rome. No! And made you the slave.
My family, they deserve justice for what's happened to them.
Defeat your brother in the arena, and we'll start a revolution to free us all.
Should have stayed away. You should have killed me.
Ben-Hur. Rated PG-13.
Jamie, the Name Your Price tool can show you coverage options to fit your budget.
Tell me something I don't know. This is probably more of a break room activity.
You think?
This is Smith & Forge, a superior hard apple cider inspired by the cider the pioneers drank. And they traveled this country on foot.
Smith & Forge, hard cider the way it's supposed to taste.
This is Anthony Rizzo, all-star first baseman for the Chicago Cubs. When he's not playing baseball, he's reading about baseball.
God, he's so good.
When he's not reading about baseball, he's listening to baseball. When he's not listening to baseball,
what's up, boys?
He's watching live baseball.
Jonesy. Ooh, that's deep. Ooh.
And when he's not watching live baseball, he's playing baseball. MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball.
Joe Flacco. Choco taco. Wow. Unbelievable. It's a chocolate taco. You ever had one?
An unsteady world will be in one person's hands.
Wouldn't you rather, in a certain sense, have Japan have nuclear weapons?
Saudi Arabia nuclear weapons?
Saudi Arabia, absolutely.
More countries with more nuclear weapons? Hillary Clinton knows that's the last thing we need. As Secretary of State, she negotiated a reduction in nuclear weapons with Russia and worked with both parties to get it passed. An unsteady world demands a very steady leader.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay?
And you can tell them to go themselves.
You know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
You got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember.
You're watching Baseball Tonight, Sunday Night Countdown presented by Chevrolet. Getting you set for the Mariners and Cubs coming up just about 25 minutes from now. Archer Manor, proud member of Little League since 1952. Archer Park, in fact, a part of Chicago's wonderful southwest side. Can't beat that great city in the summer. Can't beat Aaron Boone either with a couple of young studs.
All right, we're with Archer Manor Little League today, who are the champions of their major division, 12-year-old Little League. Congratulations. I've got a couple of Cubs with me I know you guys are excited about. We got Kyle Hendricks and Carl Edwards Jr. Right now, we're going through in Major League Baseball the trade deadline, right? So it's a big deal. The Cubs got our oldest Chapman. Carl has been in the trade deadline stuff before. You were a trade. What is this like for players right now?
I mean, I think mostly it's kind of frustrating, especially when your name come up out of nowhere. And then, you know, like for me, it happened in the minors. I was scheduled to pitch, had my family coming to town, and they was actually there, and they called and said, hey, you've been scratched for today. Literally 2 pitches into the game, they took me out of the dugout and said I was traded to the Cubs.
Wow. A couple questions from you guys.
What made you join MLB?
What made me start playing baseball was funny story. My dad was a baseball guru, like he just loved baseball. And I remember in high school, I was playing 2 sports. I hated baseball with a passion. And my freshman year, he goes, "Hey, if you don't play baseball this year, you will not play another sport next year." So I end up going out and just, finding the love for it again, and I just took that and ran with it, and it got me here today.
How many of you guys are Cubs fans? How many guys think that they can go all the way this year?
Yeah. Even not the fans.
Awesome.
Even not, I know.
What do you say to our guys for coming out and joining us a little bit?
Thank you. No problem, you guys are
Kyle and Carl,
Thanks for
thank
coming
you.
out.
Yes, sir.
All right, Boone and friends, thank you very much. Mariners and Cubs just about 20 minutes away here on ESPN as Chicago continuing their search to lock up the best record in the National League. Let's welcome in the man who knows everything about the Cubs, Jesse Rogers, covering them, ESPNChicago.com. Jesse, certainly been a tumultuous week when it comes to Aroldis Chapman. Fans are fired up. They got him. We've seen some good. We've seen some bad. Recap it for us.
Yeah, it has been an adventurous week for him. He had that opening press conference with local reporters. That didn't go as smooth as he would have liked. Then 2 four-out save chances for him. He converted the first one easily, blew the second one. That was yesterday against the Mariners. But I do think he's settling in. He's getting along with a couple of the other relievers, the Latin American guys, and Pedro Strop and Hector Rondon. They're helping him along as well. Those are the 7th and 8th inning guys. Madden's getting to learn him also. I think it's going to take a little time for him to figure out completely his role here, because I think he was surprised by those four-out save chances. But I think it's going to work for him because this Cub team needs him from that left side, especially throwing over 100 miles an hour. This Wrigley crowd, the first couple times he's come into the game, on their feet going crazy. So everybody wants to see what he can do on the mound, but I think Joe Maddon has to learn when to use him and when not to use him.
Well, he throws harder than anybody in baseball. So the Cubs certainly love that velocity. Jesse Rogers, thanks so much. We'll continue to follow you and see what the Cubs do in the hours ahead of this trade deadline. More highlights for us. Troy Tulowitzki and the Jays trying to stay atop the AL East, hosting the Orioles. Bottom of the 4th, Jays up 1-0. Tulowitzki, he's been great since coming off the DL. 18 home runs.
Right, one more than he had last year, and he's starting to look like the Tulo from his prime again, especially with the power stroke.
Jays up 2-0, but then here's the bad news. Tulowitzki's next at bat in the 6th, he gets drilled. Small fracture in the thumb.
And that is never any good, obviously going to impact him defensively, gripping the bat as well. This is a tough blow for the Jays, who are right there in their division.
That's his throwing hand, which makes it even worse.
Initially stayed in the game, he would exit in the 8th. Dallas, Aaron Sanchez leading the American League, 2.72 ERA.
And leading the 6 in absolute nastiness. This dude is filthy. I know they're weighing the options on bullpen, starter. Let me help you out. He needs to start the game because he has the potential to finish it himself.
Good defense as well. Sanchez gets the putout. No decisions, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. He was excellent once again. Top the 12th, though, tied at 2. Runner on second, 1 out. Jonathan Scope here, Eddie. The base hit to left off Franklin Morales. Alvarez scores, O's up.
This is a game that Buck Showalter, in my opinion, won. And one of the biggest reasons was in the 9th and 10th inning, he brings in his closer in a situation that was not a closing situation. On the road, you don't see a lot of visiting teams do that. And the Orioles rewarded him with a lot of runs in the 12th inning, winning by 4.
Adam Jones with his 20th home run of the season. The Orioles retake first place in the American League East, a half game up on Toronto. The Red Sox and Mookie Betts visiting the Angels. Top of the line, Sox down 3-0. Betts base hit. Jackie Bradley Jr. scores. 2-run game.
When they got to a Houston street who was missing location, that is very uncharacteristic of Houston. He does a good job of moving the fastball and the slider and changeup here. He just caught too much of the plate the entire inning.
Look at the emotion of Dustin Pedroia. 3-run home run, his 12th. The Red Sox up 4-3. And then Xander Bogaerts' 14th home run. Back-to-back jacks.
Talk about keep the line moving. This is exactly what the Boston Red Sox do. Their offense is so potent. And it doesn't matter if you have that closer in. When you get to that middle of the lineup, wow, watch out. It's fantastic to watch.
Bottom of the ninth, Cole Calhoun grounds to second. Pedroia tags the runner, throws to first, double play. The Sox come back to win.
And don't count the Red Sox out from making another move. Dave Dombrowski is very sneaky in a good way. He always makes a big move late, and don't count them out tomorrow.
He certainly can be stealth. The Seattle Mariners hoping Felix Hernandez will lead them towards a victory against Chicago. That game's coming up. The best seats at every ballpark for every game. Visit MLB.com/tickets today.
Get up, get on up, get up, get on up, stay on the scene, get on up, like a sex machine, get on up. Ha! Hit it! Shake your money maker, shake your money maker, get up, get on up, get up, get on up, get up.
Before it became a medicine, it was an idea, a wild what if. So scientists went to work. They examined 87 different protein structures and worked for 12 long years. There were thousands of patient volunteers and the hope of millions. And so after it became a medicine, someone who couldn't be cured could be. Me.
Trying to do too many things at the same time just doesn't work very well. That's why Trivago focuses on comparing hotels and works very hard at finding your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
With bacon strips, bacon jam, and bacon crumbles, it's a bacon lover's fantasy.
I know what you're thinking, but come on. It's called the Bacon Three-Way Burger. What'd you expect?
The Bacon Three-Way Burger, only at Carl's Jr. and Hardee's.
Warning, Sausage Party is rated R.
You know it, baby. Work those buns.
All food wants is to come home with us. But nothing can prepare them for how we prepare them.
Oh, me skin.
Together, we can fight these monsters. We'll die otherwise.
Stay away from my sausage, you skank!
Ba-bam! Sausage Party. Rated R for strong, crude sexual content, pervasive language, and drug use.
I love my mom. My mom. I love my kids. My kids. My job. Taking care of everybody, every day. My mom, my kids, my job. Yes. When I'm at work, when I'm at home. I could just really use some help sometimes.
Hey, we hear you. That's why AARP helps family caregivers with resources and connections to experts to help make your life easier to manage. Because we get it. If you don't think this is right for me when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP. Get to know us at aarp.org/possibilities.
This is Andrew McCutcheon. It's his job to make sure that nothing falls.
McCutcheon! Hey, Cutch. Could you get down from there? I'll catch you.
I don't know. Look at the size of that glove.
I got you. Just jump.
You sure?
Yeah, dude, I got you.
All right, I'm gonna do it. Let me just give you my keys. I don't want to land on him. Here. What? What was that?
That wasn't even close to my glove.
I don't know, Cutch. That worries me. That worries me. You can imagine what's going through my mind right now.
Oh, birthday. Who are these people? Is that Fred's dog? Whatever, doesn't matter. Oh, but this breaking news does. Because if you're not the first to learn that,
I spoke privately with the doctor. The shoulder is going to be fine.
then you can't be the first to tell your friends that. I spoke privately with his doctor. The shoulder should be fine.
Oh, hey, Jamie. Can you hang back a sec? Want to tell me about the boy in this painting?
I don't know. Maybe nobody understands him.
Well, if he were here, I'd say that being different is what makes him special. Just like our discounts. Each one is unique, but together they help save our customers a lot of money.
Okay.
Pop quiz, who's my favorite student?
Gwen?
Yeah, it's Gwen.
Yeah, Gwen's the best.
Here I am, working my canister off to clean and shine and give proven protection against fading and aging. He won't use those copycat wipes. Hi, doing anything later? Oh, the quiet type. I like that. Armor All Original Protectant. Don't be dull.
You're here to buy a car. What would help is simply being able to recognize a fair price. TrueCar has pricing data on every make and model. So all you have to do is search for the car you want. There it is. Now you're an expert in less than a minute. This is TrueCar.
You're watching Baseball Tonight, Sunday Night Countdown presented by Chevrolet. Just about 11 minutes away from the game, Mariners and the Cubs. With Tim Kurkjian, Dallas Braden, Eduardo Perez, I'm Adnan Burke. We continue with BBTN. Eric Hosmer and the Royals trying to avoid getting swept by the Rangers. Top of the first, Hosmer, 15th home run.
Well, it's good to see Haas, good to see the pop, good to see the pop to the opposite field as well.
Little shades of the All-Star game going the other way.
There you go. The Wizard of Haas. Bottom of the first, Nomar Mazara, 13 home runs.
So good. And it doesn't matter against righties or left-handed pitching. He knows how to hit that line drive to square it up.
Another team that's going to make a big move tomorrow. I'm certain of it. And everyone asks about Mazara, and I think the Rangers in most cases say, forget it. You're not getting him.
Adrian Beltre, Bay City's tied for Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, how about that? 2,873 hits. Pretty good day when you tied Babe Ruth.
Yeah, exactly. 2 batters later, it's Mitch Moreland. He's got 18 home runs and 4 in his last 4 games.
Wow. The Rangers are starting to play well again. And again, they still need a starting pitcher. They still need a reliever. And they have a GM, John Daniels, who's very good this time of year. Totally fearless.
It does feel like he's lurking. Rangers lead 4-1. They win it 5-3. Astros visiting the Tigers on Sunday. Dallas Keuchel, a 2.33 ERA in July. Bottom of the first. Runners in first and second. None out. Miguel Cabrera looking to deliver. And does so. Up the middle, Kinsler scores.
Well, you take a look here. There's nobody out. This is what makes Miguel Cabrera so darn good, is his ability to shorten up and take the pitch and hit it where it's delivered. He doesn't try to do any more than he's capable of, which is quite a lot.
2 batters later, runners on first and third, Justin Upton.
This is an offense that if they start clicking and then J.D. Martinez gets back in there, better be careful with them. They can really hit.
After a walk to Mike Aviles to load the bases, James McCann taking his former college teammate to left, and it's gone.
University of Arkansas Razorbacks in the house.
McCann's first career grand slam put the Tigers up 6-0. Bottom of the 5th, Tigers up 6-0, and it'll be Cabrera again facing Keuchel. This time Miggy showing off that opposite field power.
Jim, I mean, Dallas, what do you do when you face Miguel Cabrera and he's swinging like he is now? I mean,
you chuck and duck, Timmy. That's what you do. You chuck and duck, or you tell the catcher to stand up, put the arm out, and we'll see him at first.
Jim is a big Cabrera fan, for the record. Piazza-like power. Go ahead.
They were talking about Miggy not having a lot of power as of late, yet his exit velocity fantastic through the last month and a half.
Ties Cal Ripken Jr., 46th all-time home run list. Time now for a little going, gone. Home runs of the month.
This is Major League. We're going for the
Mark Reynolds checking in with the longest home run of the month. July 21st against the Braves, 486 feet at Coors Field.
He's been doing this for a long time, hitting tremendously long home runs, and he's in his 30s now, and he's still doing it.
Second longest home run all season. Only Stanton went for 490, which was longer. Mark Teixeira had the shortest home run of the month. July 3rd, this is off of Carlos Villanueva, 337 feet.
There's no such thing as a short home run.
Well said.
They're all 3 left turns, score, pay your respects, pop the chain, bring it on in.
Teixeira joining Mantle, Murray, Jones, Beltran, 5th switch hitter to hit 400 career home runs. Victor Martinez, the highest home run of the month. This had an apex of 166 feet, and it got stuck in the catwalk. The catwalk.
Are you going to sing now?
Does a little dance, yeah, go ahead. Right set Fred for you, Eddie. Go ahead, come on. It is indeed.
Pitbull singing.
Yeah, Pitbull. We'll get him in the show later. Maybe we already did. Giancarlo Stanton put on a show at the Home Run Derby. He had 61 home runs
in 13 and a half minutes.
We knew, or we didn't know. 27,187 feet, according to StatCast. Play Ball is MLB's initiative to inspire all forms of baseball and softball participation, making play opportunities available and fun for everyone. To learn more, go to playball.org.
Call you back. Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car?
What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there.
What a day.
With car insurance for when things go wrong.
What a day!
But also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Go! Go!
6 months ago, I was a massage therapist at Miami Beach. And now, I'm an international arms dealer. With my friend from junior high.
Pretty sick, huh?
How did two young men land a $300 million Pentagon contract?
You guys ever been Albanian?
I'm sorry, I don't speak Albanian.
War Dogs, rated R.
This is your moment. This is your time.
I believe in you.
Congratulations, bro. What a job well done.
I'm so proud of you.
You are amazing.
Everyone in the galaxy is beaming up to Dave & Buster's to play the all-new Star Trek arcade game. Plus, play any 4 of the hottest new games for free until July 31st. Get in now for new fun and play 4 games free, only at Dave & Buster's.
Hanes underwear with revolutionary X-Temp technology is designed to respond to your body temperature to help keep you cool. Let's put it to the test.
You're up.
Oh. Just gonna play it.
Wedge?
Yep. Next!
It speeds evaporation to help keep you cool and dry. Hanes X-Temp technology. Because when you're cool, you're comfortable.
I think you got this.
I'm Invests. And as a vested investor invests, I invest with E-Trade, where investors can investigate and invest. Invests. Or not invests.
Sign up at eTrade.com and get up to $600.
This is Smith & Forge, a superior hard apple cider inspired by the cider our forefathers drank. And they built this country with their bare hands.
Smith & Forge, hard cider, the way it's supposed to taste.
The human body. We're compelled to explore the unknown, to find something more. It's what we find in the water, with more resistance, but not the impact of gravity. And boom. It's a whole new kind of workout. It's running, weights, resistance, all of it, but better. You want something more? You have to be in the water. There's Fit, and there's Speedo Fit.
These pizzas are the same, but depending on the day of the week, they aren't the same price. That's not right, so we're fixing it. Now you can carry out large 3-topping Domino's pizzas for $7.99 every day of the week.
Now, I'm a 6'6" white boy from the suburbs. Yo, microphone check 1, 2, what is this? He had so much style. Joe, Flacco, Choco, Taco. Whoa! Okay, that's not me.
He doesn't look like he has any friends.
Money, I got 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 money, I got
Baseball tonight. Sunday night countdown is presented by Chevrolet. Find new roads. And in part by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. Make sure you join us for a great baseball. Mariners Cubs is coming up, but tomorrow night, Eduardo Perez, Dallas Braden, Dave Fleming, Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern. The Mets take on the Yankees. The same matchup on Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern, as they'll switch up the home crowd. But both games coming up on ESPN. Let's take a look at this play with StatCast, powered by Amazon Web Services. This was that Bryce Harper play. As Tim mentioned, as great as that park there is there in AT&T, should have accounted for those bullpens.
Again, what other sport has a bullpen in play where you got to run over a hill in order to make a play?
Sure. 18 miles an hour, though. He was going good. Time now for the Web Gems of July.
What a catch!
Juan Herbis Solarte into the first row to make the grab. It's got some mustard on it and some other stuff.
How about that?
Can't do it any better than Melky just did it.
It's a triple play! It's a triple play! It's a triple play! Unbelievable!
It is out of here. No, he caught it. He pulled it in. My goodness. Jump throw by Alcides Escobar. And a terrific play by the Royals shortstop.
Fantastic web gems there. For Dallas Braden, Eduardo Perez, Tim Kirchin, I'm Adnan Amber. Thank you so much for watching Baseball Tonight, Sunday Night Countdown, alongside Buster Olney, Aaron Boone, and Jessica Mendoza. Here's Dan Shulman. Enjoy the game, everybody.
And thank you. Welcome to Chicago and welcome to Sunday Night Baseball, presented by Taco Bell. Here at historic Wrigley Field. It's the team with the best record in the sport, the Chicago Cubs, finishing up a 3-game series with the Seattle Mariners, each team having won once so far on the weekend. The Cubs fairly comfortably in front in the National League Central, and they'll face Felix Hernandez tonight for Seattle. Cardinals lost today, so the Cubs lead in the Central is now 7 games. Seattle 8 back in the West and 4.5 back of the second wild card spot in the American League. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Chicago. Beautiful night for a ball game. Dan Shulman, Jessica Mendoza, and Aaron Boone. Let's start with the Cubs. They've had the best record in baseball virtually from wire to wire. Had a bit of a lull before the All-Star break, but looking pretty good again. Just right now, for you, where are the Cubs?
They're the most exciting team, and you're right. They struggled heading into the All-Star break, but there's 3 main things that have changed with this team since then. Number 1, they're starting pitching, and you think about Lester, Lackey, and Arrieta, and how those numbers, when they were struggling, that's when you saw the team losing. They've gotten back on track. Secondly, their approach at the plate. They've eliminated the strikeouts. Their 2-strike approach has gotten back to where they were early in the season and getting on base, putting the ball in play, and ultimately getting more runs in. And lastly, they went and picked up Aroldis Chapman to add to a bullpen, which really was the only weakness that was consistently weak throughout the season. And they changed that. So that is probably the biggest difference of this team as they were a month ago.
For the Mariners, a team, as we said, they're right on the cusp of contending. And a treat tonight, Felix Hernandez is on the mound for Seattle. Because he pitches out west, a lot of folks back east don't get a chance to see him as often as they would like. But I think everybody knows, Aaron, this has been one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last decade.
No question about it. And what's hurt King Felix is that the Mariners as an organization have really struggled for the better part of his career. He has been the one constant, the one superstar on their team. He debuted at 19, the youngest player in the league, and was dominant from then. He won his one and only Cy Young Award in 2010, capped it off with a perfect game in 2012. And you talked about contention. Well, this team really struggled in the month of June when he was out. He now has a chance to cap off a good road trip for this team before they head home, where the schedule in the month of August gets a little easier for them. They need a big outing and a victory tonight from King Felix.
As all fans know, it's trade deadline time, 4 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow to be exact, and you know what that means. Buster's having fun. Buster, what's the latest?
That's right, Dan. With less than 20 hours to go until that deadline, the market is bubbling over. Early this morning, the Cleveland Indians agreed to a deal with the New York Yankees for maybe the best reliever in baseball, Andrew Miller, and they had another deal for an all-star blow up. General managers are working overtime. Teams are making trades. The Mariners just traded a pitcher just before today's game. We'll keep you updated throughout tonight.
All right, Buster, thank you. We are ready for baseball here at Wrigley Field in Chicago. They do love their Cubbies. Rubber match of a 3-game series between the Cubs and the Mariners comes your way next.
New Taco Bell poll finds Americans want a $1 menu that actually costs $1. You don't say. Taco Bell's new $1 morning value menu. The only breakfast value menu where everything's $1.
Connecting with my friends, love it. Connecting with some sketchy guy that needs remote access to my computer, really?
We hear you. That's why AARP created the Fraud Watch Network.
If you don't think this is right for me when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP.
Can a car be crafted instead of produced? Designed with attention and care to give a feeling that stays with you. At Mazda, every detail matters because driving matters. The all-new three-row Mazda CX-9.
We're testing Hanes underwear with X-Temp technology.
Yep.
Just gonna play it.
Wedge?
Yep. It speeds evaporation to help keep you cool and dry. Hanes X-Temp technology. When you're cool, you're comfortable.
This is the Dell Inspiron 2-in-1. It has 4 versatile modes and a 6th-gen Intel Core processor for getting more done. Like rocking marine biology term papers or making the baddest beats on campus. Inspired by you, multitasking double major. We love your work.
When Josh Atkins books at LaQuinta.com, he gets a ready for you alert the second his room is ready. So you know what he gives?
I'll give you everything I've got and then some.
He gives 110%.
I'm confident this 10% can boost your market share. Feel me, Lois?
I'm feeling it.
Ready for you alert only at LQ.com.
An unsteady world will be in one person's hands.
Wouldn't you rather, in a certain sense, have Japan have nuclear weapons?
Saudi Arabia nuclear weapons?
Saudi Arabia, absolutely.
More countries with more nuclear weapons? Hillary Clinton knows that's the last thing we need. As Secretary of State, she negotiated a reduction in nuclear weapons with Russia and worked with both parties to get it passed. An unsteady world demands a very steady leader.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? And you can tell them to go themselves.
You know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
You got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember. He's going like, I don't remember.
Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN is presented by Taco Bell's new limited edition triple-double Crunchwrap, and in part by Otesla. Learn more at Otesla.com. And AARP, real possibilities. All kinds of tributes to Harry Carey in and around Wrigley Field here on the north side of Chicago. The Cubs and the Mariners wrapping up this interleague 3-game series here tonight. Scott Service, the manager of the Seattle Mariners, 2 games over 500 on the season. The lineup is presented by Taco Bell.
Nelson Cruz showing even at 36 years old, he's still one of the most elite power hitters in baseball. 16 of his 25 home runs coming on the road, and he leads all of majors with 12 home runs versus lefties as he faces the lefty tonight in Matusz. Right behind him is Kyle Seagers in his 5th consecutive season with 20+ home runs. One of the most underrated third basemen in baseball, and he's got career numbers in doubles and home runs projecting for this season.
On the mound tonight for the Cubs, as we mentioned, Brian Matusz is going to get the start, the former Baltimore Oriole. A couple of reasons for this. Joe Maddon feels in and around the All-Star break is a great time to give somebody a spot start, push everybody back a day. Their starters were struggling before the All-Star break, but also Matusz had an out clause in his contract. Had he not been brought up to the majors by Tuesday, he could have opted out. He's already been with the Orioles. The Braves organization didn't actually pitch for them, and now the Cubs this year, and who knows, this could be a showcase kind of start for him, for this team and for other teams, again with a trade deadline at 4 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. This is his first major league start since July of 2012. A very effective reliever for the Orioles the last 3 years, but some injury issues early this year. Struggled out of the bullpen for the Orioles, eventually traded to the Braves, then released, signed by the Cubs, and here he is. Leading off for the Mariners, their shortstop tonight, Sean O'Malley, 28 years of age, described by his manager as a grinder. Took him a long time to get to the major leagues. Spent 8 years in the minors before finally making it to the major leagues. Originally drafted by Tampa Bay. He is filling in for Ketel Marte, their regular shortstop, who is out right now.
Marte, they hope to get back perhaps sometime next week, end of next week. They miss his athleticism and just that spark he brings from a speed element at the top of the lineup, plus his shortstop play.
He is out with mononucleosis right now as O'Malley loops one into shallow center field for a leadoff base hit. Big win for the Mariners in yesterday's game. They were trailing 1-0. Going to the 8th inning, Jake Arrieta was pitching very well. Wade Miley, we'll tell you more about him momentarily, was pitching very well. And the Mariners launched a comeback against, of all people, Aroldis Chapman. They scored 3 runs off Chapman in the 8th inning yesterday, 2 of them coming on a 2-run double by the man in the batter's box right now, Leonys Martin, who turned around a 100-mile-an-hour Chapman fastball, lined it up the alley in left center field. To a man, the Mariners say one of the biggest wins they have had this season. Now a pitch off the glove of the catcher Contreras, and to second goes O'Malley on the wild pitch.
Well, and Scott Service, the Mariners manager, told us before the game just how good of a win that was for his team's psyche. He felt like for the clubhouse after the game, after getting blown away in Friday's ball game, to come out in this atmosphere right now in Wrigley Field, to have that kind of a victory for a team that's trying to make a playoff push, he said did a lot for this team's psyche, hoping they can carry it over into tonight's game.
1-1 the count on Martin, but they have made a trade, as we mentioned. Buster said, and we mentioned Wade Miley. Buster, he's no longer a Mariner.
No, that's exactly right. This season with the Mariners has struggled. 7-8, 4.98 ERA. The Orioles desperate for pitching. They make the deal, giving up prospect Ariel Miranda, who might go into the Mariners rotation.
Bunted, dies on the grass, and out at first on a close play is Martin, but he will advance O'Malley to third.
Really nice all-around play here by everyone involved. Contreras gives you a little show of his athleticism, bouncing way up down the third baseline to get on that and get the speedy Martin. Martin bunting for a hit here all the way, but worst case scenario, he gets that runner to third base with less than 2 outs. You look at Contreras, the athleticism, he pounces on that and shows off that strong arm. That is not an easy play. And that young future star catcher made it look easy.
So runner at third with 1 out here in the top of the first, and the batter is Robinson Cano, having a terrific year, hitting an even 300, 22 home runs, 63 driven in. You know, back to the Miley trade for a moment, and there are all kinds of rumors that he might be traded. The Mariners are going to get, or hoping to get back, Taijuan Walker off the DL from a foot problem by the end of the week. But still, you wonder how it plays. And we've seen a few teams who make deals but then say, well, that doesn't necessarily mean we're selling. We're not out of it. And the Mariners are right on the cusp, 4.5 out of a wild card spot, but a couple of teams between them and the Red Sox who have the second wild card spot. So you would assume that Walker will fill the rotation spot of Miley. They've been going with a 4-man rotation because they've had 3 off days in the last week and a half. Perhaps somebody like Wade LeBlanc, who's made a few starts for them, goes back into the rotation. But, you know, when Aaron, and you've been in the clubhouse in this kind of a situation, you're hoping your team adds, not subtracts at this point of the season when you're right on the cusp of being in it.
Absolutely, and that's something you worry about playing for a team like the Mariners, who have not been in contention for a number of years really now. For them to be on the cusp and to see a veteran player, even though he's having a down year, coming off a big outing, you worry about how that plays. But therein lies where the leadership on the team, you just got to keep plugging away and understand that it's going to take a real hot brand of baseball these final 2 months to give yourself a chance. And Taijuan Walker, James Paxton, those guys with big upside in the rotation need to come of age if that has a chance of happening.
The Mariners have the longest active playoff drought in the major leagues. They have missed the postseason each of the last 14 years. 1-2 pitch is strike 3 call. Cano will back away without saying anything as Matusz rings him up.
Well, I like the pitch setup for Cano. First, they go up in the zone with a fastball and then just paint the corner a little bit off the plate to get strike 3. But changing eye levels early on for Matusz. So he started that at bat with a few fastballs up and then going back down and away to paint that outside pitch.
So 2 down in the inning. O'Malley still at third. The infielders going to back up now. The batter was Nelson Cruz. Cruz, a former teammate of Brian Matusz in Baltimore, probably delighted to see him as part of the opposition. 7 for 12 with a couple of homers.
Yeah, and with a base open and the lefty Seager on deck, even though he's having a great year, this is not a situation where they will give in. You see Contreras way off the edge.
High and deep to left field, and he got him again. Nelson Cruz with his 3rd home run in his career off Matusz, and the Mariners have an early 2-0 lead.
Well, this is just a lack of execution by Brian Matusz. You know they did not want to give in to Nelson Cruz, and Nelson Cruz knew, hey, they fell behind me 1-0. They're still not going to give in to me. He's sitting something soft there. He gets a changeup, and you can see by how Contreras was set up, they wanted that pitch off the plate away. If Nelson Cruz was going to hit, they wanted him to chase out of the zone. Well, that ball didn't end up out of the zone. It ended up and in the heart of the plate, and Cruz laying on it did not miss it.
Deep in the bleachers in left center. 26th home run of the season for Cruz. The Mariners have a lot of pop. They're among the leaders. They're 3rd in the American League in home runs this year, led by Cruz, Cano, and the man at the plate right now, Kyle Seager, who's got 20.
That's one they'll talk about, and we'll sit with him tonight. You know, they probably identified with Matusz being left-handed, Seager hitting under 200 against lefties, that okay, in a big spot, Cruz is not the guy I want to allow beat me. That's a big-time mistake.
Way up and in, and it grazed the shoulder of Seager, and he'll head down to first. So a spotty beginning here in the first inning for Matusz, who's given up a base hit, a home run, and now has hit a batter.
We've seen quite a few misses early in this game up in the zone. Matusz not finishing, and not just his fastball, and this one gets the shoulder of Seager. But even to Cano and Martin, 2 to 3 pitches each out of the strike zone and up.
And now here's Franklin Gutierrez to take a strike. Gutierrez, who has battled so many injuries over the years, at one point won a Gold Glove in his younger years for the Mariners, hitting .244 with 10 home runs on the season.
8 of those 10 home runs have come against left-handed pitching. Forms a pretty nice platoon, usually with Seth Smith.
Throw down to first. Back in safely is Seager.
Seth Smith, the guy who really wears out right-handed pitching. Hasn't played a lot on this trip because of obviously the American leaguers in the National League parks. So no DH, meaning Nelson Cruz is definitely in the lineup.
Seager dusting himself off, being held on by Rizzo. The pitch for Matusz, in for a strike. Gutierrez has been released or granted free agency 4 times by the Mariners and has always come back. And as we mentioned, a ton of injuries. Also a stomach ailment a few years ago that cost him a big chunk of one season. And a different kind of player than he used to be. Not as big a role as he used to have, but still a very valuable guy in a part-time role, as Aaron mentioned. And as mentioned, a lot of power. The guy on deck, Dae-Ho Lee, who's not a full-time player. He's got a dozen home runs on the season. And another part of a platoon at times. Adam Lind over there as the left-handed bat. Lee is the right-handed bat. Lynn will also DH sometimes, but they get a lot of guys who can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah, and I really felt like I picked Seattle before the season to be a wild card team, and I really based it on their offense. I thought it had a chance to be a real dynamic offense with some matchup capabilities. It's certainly been that. Now can the pitching catch up with the outstanding power they've shown throughout much of the season, and then these final 2 months of the season to make a real run down the stretch.
The count full with 2 down and Seager at first. Rizzo will back off the bag now and play behind the runner, who will be on the move with the pitch. There goes the runner, and the pitch outside for ball 4, and this inning will continue. And restless fans here at Wrigley. This is the first time they've seen Brian Matusz in a Cubs uniform, and so far they're not really liking what they're seeing.
You see Carl Edwards Jr. there running down. You wonder if he's perhaps going to be up in that bullpen early. There's a few people stirring down there in the bullpen for the Cubs. You wonder how long the leash will be. We don't expect, even if Matusz, as you look at King Felix there, who's had a long break here as his team's gotten him off to a good start, but we don't expect Matusz to be able to go too deep in this game, even if he pitches well. But if he continues like this, how short will that leash be?
2 on 2 out for Dae-Ho Lee. 34 years of age, from South Korea. In Korea, won an MVP, won 3 batting titles, 2-time home run champion. Also had some success in recent years in Japan before coming to the U.S. As you can see, struggling lately. One for his last 25, but a definite power threat. There's some swing and miss in his game, but when he gets a hold of it, it can go. Already a 24-pitch inning for Matusz, down 2 runs. In front of a packed house, as always, here at Wrigley.
Lee's a guy who left a lot of money on the table in Korea to come have the opportunity at 34 years of age to try and prove himself over here in the major leagues. And I would say he's delivered power, and probably the green light if he likes what he sees here.
Bounced in by Matusz, who's all over the place right now. And it's gone from grumbling to outright booing here at Wrigley. And here comes Chris Bosio, the pitching coach.
I mean, 0 field just right now with the secondary pitches. And you know, as a hitter, you got to determine, I can just ignore that completely. Maybe in a spot, lay on a pitch I'm comfortable with, right-hander facing that changeup, which clearly Nelson Cruz sat on.
Well, and this is a guy that throws usually about 30% sliders, and that pitch has been non-existent. He's really tried to flip in that curveball we've seen consistently up in the zone, and then he'll even pound it down in the ground. So what you're saying with feel right now is fastball is really the only pitch that he's been able to get for a strike.
So the bases are loaded with 2 down, 2-0 Seattle, trying to break it open early. The batter is the catcher, Mike Zunino. And he pops it up into shallow center. Fowler is in. And finally the inning is over. Felix Hernandez doesn't get to hit here in the first. He will head out to the mound at the bottom of the first with a 2-0 lead, thanks to his teammate Nelson Cruz hitting home run number 26 on the season. The Mariners off to an early lead.
One of these is not like the others, because only one triple doubles the seasoned beef, nacho cheese sauce, and crunchy tostada. Taco Bell's new limited edition triple double crunch wrap. It's one you don't want to miss.
Romantic moments can happen spontaneously, so why pause to take a pill? Or stop to find a bathroom? Cialis for daily use is the only daily tablet approved to treat erectile dysfunction, so you can be ready anytime the moment is right. Plus, Cialis treats the frustrating urinary symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently, day or night. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain or Adempus for pulmonary hypertension, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any symptoms of an allergic reaction, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis for daily use. Many men aren't aware their health insurance may cover Cialis. Contact your health plan for the latest information.
Felix Hernandez is on the mound for Seattle tonight, and he's got a 2-0 lead in this game before he throws his first pitch of the evening. Here's the Cub lineup that he will face, brought to you by Taco Bell.
Kris Bryant in that 2-hole having an MVP caliber season, following up being Rookie of the Year a year ago. 52 home runs already in less than 2 seasons of work at the big league level. And Addison Russell in that 5-hole hitting just .241. But look at that, third most RBIs by a shortstop with 61 to go along with 12 home runs. A nice step forward offensively for him in his second season.
So here's King Felix, 30 years of age, broke in as a 19-year-old with the Mariners back in 2005. As Aaron mentioned, has thrown a perfect game, has won a Cy Young. He's been an All-Star 6 times in his career. Was on the DL for about 7 weeks this season with a calf injury. Has made 2 starts since coming off the DL and gave up 4 runs in each, and he gave up 3 runs in the first inning in each start. And this is a different Felix Hernandez than the young Felix Hernandez. Does not throw nearly as hard. The velocity is significantly down from his early to mid-20s. But when he's on with the mix and the command and the location and changing speeds, he can still be a terrific, terrific pitcher. Facing Dexter Fowler, the center fielder and leadoff man for the Cubs. Just down and away, 2 balls and 2 strikes on Fowler, who also spent some time on the DL this year. A right hamstring strain. And when he was out, coincided with the time when the Cubs struggled, although there were other issues. Some of the starting pitchers hit a real rut, but they missed Fowler at the top of the lineup. Tried to check the swing, and he succeeded on the appeal down to third, so the count is now full. You know, this is the kind of stat, there are other things at play here, but that's a pretty strong endorsement of what Fowler means to the team.
Absolutely. And the on-base presence he was at the top, coupled with outstanding play in center.
The foul ball in his leg.
And right now he falls behind 0-2, and this is something that's been a hallmark of the success of the Cubs, but certainly for Dexter Fowler. You know, King Felix gets 2 runs, jumps out in front, 0-2. Now all of a sudden he's worked it back to a full count, and he's making Felix work here, first batter of the game, if nothing else.
And the at-bat continues.
One thing, we haven't seen Felix break out the changeup yet.
Yeah.
We've seen the breaking ball. We've seen that sinking 2-seam fastball. We've seen him even go with the 4-seam fastball, all kind of between that 89-91 range. We'll see if at some point there Zunino calls for that. Oh, going back fastball away.
The appeal again, and again he didn't go, and that's ball 4. Now, we talked a little bit about the velocity for Felix Hernandez back in 2007. A lot of guys lose velocity over the years, but he's pitched a ton of innings in his career. He's down 6 miles an hour from where he was 9 years ago, but the changeup, he actually throws it harder now than he used to, and the separation between fastball and changeup is only 3 miles an hour. You always hear that pitchers are striving for 8, 9, 10 miles per hour, but with Felix, it's only 3.
And even when he won his Cy Young in 2010, it wasn't the 10 or 9 mile per hour difference that you saw there earlier in his career. It was still small. It was about 3 to 4 mile per hour difference. But the biggest thing with his changeup when it's going well isn't even so much how it varies from his fastball as it is the depth and the movement that he'll get on that pitch combined. But he needs that difference, and you're starting to see that fastball and changeup. Those numbers are now merging to where they're very close to each other.
Well, and it's made the fastball, even though yes, down in velocity, it's made it much more hittable. The changeup at 87 and with the movement that he typically gets on it is still a very difficult pitch for guys to handle, for guys to square up. But now you can kind of sit as a hitter in that 86, 87 range and still do damage on the fastball when you're protecting a little bit against that changeup.
Fowler thought about it, puts the brakes on.
And that was the first changeup of the night that we saw there. You see 88 miles an hour on that pitch. It almost looks like a real good sinker, or has a little split look to it. I mean, that's straight down. There is the grip. Incredibly hard, but look at the late downward action. So even if you look for that pitch as a hitter, it's a very difficult pitch to square up because of all the movement.
But Scott Service gave us the impression before the game like they've talked to Felix Hernandez about trying to take something off the changeup to get some of that separation back.
It's definitely something they'd like to do, because I think it will help his fastball out more if he can get some of that separation, because then you can't really sit in between the two pitches as a hitter.
But look at that tunnel he's working right now. We saw it with the changeup 2 pitches ago with the last pitch and fastball right there in the bottom half of the zone. He'll come up every now and then just to change the eye level, but that is his bread and butter, is working that lower half of the zone so that he can work his fastball and change off of the same plane.
Let's see if Fowler may be running here. Full count on Bryant. He is not, and Bryant takes it in the dirt, ball 4. Back-to-back walks for Hernandez to open up his night. And it won't get any easier as Anthony Rizzo comes to the plate. '79 RBIs on the season for Rizzo, entering play today, tied for second in the National League in that department, and hitting .352 on the season with runners in scoring position.
Well, if Felix is having a hard time getting that strike zone, Rizzo's going to make it the hardest of any Cubs hitter because of how he crowds it. He takes away about half the plate.
And that right there is an important pitch for Hernandez to at least establish something on the inside corner to Rizzo, because that's what he's basically giving you, because he wants to crowd that plate and be deadly on stuff out over the plate. If he can demonstrate that he can command the fastball into Rizzo, that will help set up that split change that he likes to throw down and away.
First time that Hernandez has ever pitched here at Wrigley Field. First time he has pitched on Sunday Night Baseball. The Mariners have not been on in 12 years, and we certainly got the impression in their clubhouse that he wanted this game. He was excited to pitch here in this ballpark, to pitch under the bright lights, but man, it is not going his way here in the early going. A couple of walks and a 2-0 count now on Rizzo.
Oh, in that last spot, that's exactly where he wants to paint. To Boone's point, inside low. He gets that call to strike, and he knows it. Changes the at-bat. That one turns it into a 1-1 count.
That one might have been in again, but Rizzo went after it. Fowler at second and Bryant at first. Nobody out. 2-0 Seattle here in the bottom of the first. Change up, swing and a miss, 2-2.
Well, there's a couple of pitches that he's at least shown Rizzo now. I can get the ball to the inside with my fastball. So it sped him up a little bit. Now it sets up that 88 mile an hour, that change. Watch the bottom fall out. Rizzo looks at that and thinks, okay, I got something I can handle, but then the bottom drops out and he ends up way out in front and over the top. Now you've planted every seed, so there's a lot of places you can go. You've sped him up inside. but you showed him the weapon down.
Down and in, almost hit him in a full count.
And now I think if you're Rizzo here and you're inclined to sell out on a pitch, I think you can expect that changeup. One of the best hitters in the league in a big spot. He just showed you the heater in. I think it's back now to the changeup to try and win the at bat.
Got him. Fastball on the outside corner with the knees and a swing and a miss, and Rizzo shaking his head as he walks back to the dugout.
Well, just perfect execution on this sinking fastball that he dots down and away. And I guarantee you Rizzo was sitting on the off-speed pitch, and that little bit of extra velocity away, he's just a little late flailing at it.
I think, yeah, it's just 3 miles an hour difference between his fastball and changeup, but the way he set up Rizzo there, it don't matter if it's 3 or 10, it still works.
And sometimes as a hitter, when you're looking soft out over the plate, it's actually easiest to handle a fastball in the inner half because you just react and you just throw your hands. When you sit soft, sometimes they can sneak a fastball away past you because your body does not allow you to cover that pitch away.
You saw the numbers for Ben Zobrist against Felix Hernandez. Of course, Zobrist with Tampa Bay for many, many years, so he's got a lot more experience against Hernandez than anybody else in this Cub lineup. But a lot of that experience was against the young 97-mile-an-hour Felix Hernandez. Zobrist just 5 for 37 in his career against him. A little slider there and a swing and a miss, 1-2. Not quite as many Hernandez fans as there are when he's pitching back home in Seattle on the King's Court. That's a seam down the left field line. And he got him at the knees. 2 down.
Well, struggle. Then when you need a big time pitch, he throws a 2-seam sinking fastball to get Rizzo. And there, that ball actually looked like it had a little cut action on it, but at the bottom of the zone. He's planted the seed. He knows these Cubs hitters are fearful of that changeup, certainly aware of that changeup. And it's been the fastball that potentially now have a chance to get him out of this inning. Take a look at that last pitch in the grip. And watch the little cut action. This ball works back to the heart of the plate, and Zunino does a good job of sticking it and holding it at the bottom of the strike zone.
And now Hernandez wants to talk to Zunino after the first pitch strike to Addison Russell. Hernandez battling back. Walked the first 2, has struck out the last 2. Zobrist continues to struggle against Hernandez, striking out his first time tonight. Russell fouls it off, and it's 0-2. Doing some pitching right here, getting back into things after the way the inning started for him. No pattern. And locating very well to the last 3 hitters after falling behind and eventually walking the first 2 hitters. Skips up over the third base dugout into the seats. You faced him a couple of times when he was a kid, and you were a grizzled old vet.
Yeah, I faced him in Cleveland. There was a lot of fanfare, and I remember the first time facing him. This guy absolutely lived up to the hype, and I understood why.
And he gets out of it. 3 strikeouts in a row after walking the first 2. King Felix living up to his nickname. Mariner fans in the house. 2-0 Seattle at the end of 1.
Can't believe the $5 lunch comes with a DQ sundae.
I can't believe it comes with a bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, plus a DQ sundae.
It's like the sundae is free.
I can't believe we stopped for lunch.
Nothing fills you up like the $5 lunch.
As teams dig in for the pennant race, DirecTV is bringing the heat with the MLB Extra Innings Package now for a special half-season price. Watch baseball's best arms and biggest bats battle for postseason rights. All at a new low price for the rest of the season. Plus, get MLB.tv included, so you can watch nearly 100 live games a week on over 400 supported devices. Bring home this season's final stretch. Order MLB Extra Innings on DirecTV.
I can't believe the $5 lunch comes with a DQ sundae.
I can't believe it comes with a bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, plus a DQ sundae.
It's like the sundae is free.
I can't believe we stopped for lunch.
Nothing fills you up like the $5 lunch.
Powers the digital world. Communication, like CenturyLink's broadband network that gives 35,000 fans a cutting-edge game experience. Or the network that keeps a leading hotel chain's guests connected at work and at play. Or the IT platform that powers millions of e-cards every day for one of the largest greeting card companies. Businesses count on communication, and communication counts on CenturyLink. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
You do all this research on the perfect car, then smash it into a tree. Your insurance company raises your rates. Maybe you should have done more research on them.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise your rates due to your first accident. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
When Josh Atkins books at LaQuinta.com, he gets a ready-for-you alert the second his room is ready. So you know what he gives?
I'll give you everything I've got, and then some.
He gives 110%.
I'm confident this 10% can boost your market share. Feel me, Lois?
I'm feeling it.
Ready-for-you alert only at LQ.com.
That one back there on its way. Go! Oof. There's just some things in baseball that aren't fair. Never a dull moment, to say the least.
Wednesday Night Baseball, Mets, Yankees, Wednesday at 7 on ESPN.
Back at Wrigley, top of the second, 2-0 Mariners. Felix Hernandez will lead it off. He is 4 for 41 swinging the bat in his big league career. One of the 4 was a grand slam, hit that of Johan Santana back in 2008. Chopper back towards the mound. Easy play for Matusz for the first out.
Well, we talked about obviously King Felix coming up with some huge pitches there to get out of a little bit of trouble. Finish that inning off by striking out 3 in a row. A chance now for Matusz, who really struggled through that first inning but left the bases loaded, and now a chance if he can settle in to try and at least give his team some innings and keep them right in this ball game.
Matusz pitching 2 starts, making 2 starts for the AAA team in Iowa in the last couple of weeks, through 85 pitches his last time out. So Joe Maddon saying if he got a solid 5 for Matusz, he would take it. Not fully stretched out. Top of the order, shortstop Sean O'Malley, who had a base hit and scored on the home run by Cruz back in the top of the first. Seattle at the end of a road trip that has taken them to Toronto, Pittsburgh, and now here to Wrigley Field. They are headed home and will start a homestand with the Boston Red Sox tomorrow night. And if they can get a win here in this game, pretty successful road trip against some good teams. Took 2 out of 3 in Toronto, split the 2 with Pittsburgh. If they can win here tonight, 5-3 against those 3 teams, pretty good.
And that's why, you know, for being a regular season game, I feel like every now and then there's a game that feels really important. And here, with your ace on the mound, a chance against some quality teams to have a good road trip. You go home and play 4 against a team you're chasing potentially for a playoff spot in the Boston Red Sox. And then in the month of August, the schedule gets a lot more friendly. A lot more games within the division. A lot of Angels, A's. You play Texas at the end of the month. So you're a good month away from really putting yourself on some good footing. And I think tonight can go a long way in kind of springboarding them into August.
But even just walking around the clubhouse, being around this team too, because they don't have the target on their back. I mean, you know, Boone, this is the best place to be sometimes, is to be that team that no one really is paying attention to. And they're 4.5 games back, but they're right in the mix. Because they're out west, they're not seen as much.
Martin lines one into right center, a base hit. You saw those wild card standings. Baltimore beat Toronto today, so the Orioles are back in first place in the American League East. The Blue Jays hold down the first wild card spot. The Red Sox got 5 in the 9th today to beat the Angels. They hold down the second wild card spot. And here come the Detroit Tigers. They completed a sweep of Houston today, roughed up the Astros 11-0. The Tigers are 1 game out of a playoff berth right now. It's going to be a crazy couple of months. Might be a crazy 16 hours or so between now and the trade deadline. Buster will keep you up to date on everything. We mentioned that Seattle traded Wade Miley to Baltimore today, a minor leaguer coming back the other way. The big news of the day, if you haven't heard it, is Andrew Miller is now a member of the Cleveland Indians. So the Indians went out and made a move, gave up 4 players to get one of the very best relievers in baseball. They've got a great starting rotation. Their offense quietly is 3rd in the American League in runs per game this year. And now they've added a lockdown lefty, whether it's 8th inning, 9th inning, set up close situationally, depending on how Terry Francona wants to play it. Either way, they just got a lot better.
Well, and I think this is Chris Antonetti and the Cleveland Indian organization saying, I think we have the best team in the American League. Not just a team that can get to the postseason, but because of that starting rotation. And because now you pair Andrew Miller and Cody Allen, for a team that is on a stricter budget, smaller market, they're going to be reluctant to give away prospects, and they gave a great package to the Yankees. But this is them saying, I think we match up with anybody, and they feel like Andrew Miller can be that difference. And perhaps bringing a World Series back to Cleveland.
Then they went out and tried to address their situation behind the plate since the injury to Yan Gomes, and they completed a deal with Milwaukee for Jonathan Lucroy, but Lucroy's got limited no trade provisions in his contract. He can refuse a trade to 8 teams. Cleveland's one of them, and he exercised that clause in his contract and reportedly vetoed the trade. Otherwise, Lucroy would be an Indian as well.
You wonder if the Indians are completely done, because they aren't a wealthy team by means of money, but they do have even more prospects in the bank, you know, to be able to go out and possibly get another bat and go after somebody else. And to me, you think about what this Indian team has in starting pitching, and now with the back end of their bullpen, they still are 3rd in the American League with runs per game. But if they could add to that, look out.
Cano hits one high and deep to right field. Hayward back, running out of room. It is gone. Second home run of the night for the Mariners already, and they've got a 4-0 lead.
Well, after Matusz had tried to set up outside to Cano earlier on in this at bat, Cano gets a pitch right on the inner half. You see that Contreras wants it low in the zone, and said it's middle in, almost on a tee for Cano. Unleashes. Pretty sweet swing of Robinson Cano.
Cano's 3rd home run in his career off Matusz. Nelson Cruz, who's batting now, hit the 3rd home run of his career off Matusz last time up. Now he grounds one to short, backhanded by Russell, and the inning is over. But it's another explosive, productive inning for the Mariners. They lead 4-0. Buster Olney with the latest trade talk when we come back.
Steak used to cost an arm and a leg. But now you can get new tender braised steak and melted cheese wrapped in a warm flatbread for just $1.49. Taco Bell steak flatbread sandwich. Eat it for them.
Take on any road with intuitive all-wheel drive. The Nissan Rogue, Murano, and Pathfinder. Now get 0% APR for 72 months plus $500 bonus cash.
Nobody can survive in that forest for 6 years, at least not alone.
I have Elliot.
On August 12th.
Can you tell me more? Who is he?
Elliot! You'll see.
Follow that dragon!
Come on, Elliot!
Disney's Pete's Dragon. Rated PG. Get tickets now at Fandango.
This is Kris Bryant, and this is Anthony Rizzo. As the muscle of the Chicago Cubs lineup, they've decided to go into business. The souvenir business.
Brizzo Souvenir Company, please hold. We founded Brizzo Souvenir Company to get you the home run balls you deserve. Help me help you get some baseballs. It's a good deal, Joe. Yeah, have you seen us play? We authenticate them with our bats. 9-ounce balls. Take it or leave it. Deal. Woo! Another one. We put the ding in dinger.
4-0, the Mariners lead the Cubs going to the bottom of the second. As promised, down to Buster Olney with the latest trade talk.
Yeah, and what happened with Lucroy and the Indians was this. After this deal was agreed to, then the Brewers conveyed to the Indians that Lucroy wanted some guarantees about playing time and other issues, and the Indians' response was, look, we bought this player, giving up this package of prospects based on his value as a player and his contract. If he's got an issue with it, you guys work it out. And they didn't. And on top of that, I can tell you within the Indians organization, the feeling was, you know what? If he doesn't want to be with us, maybe we don't want him.
Interesting. The Indians in go-for-it mode, picking up Miller, trying to get a Lucroy, but it didn't work out. Trade deadline special, 3 hours worth tomorrow, 1:30 to 4:30 Eastern time on ESPN. The deadline itself is at 4 Eastern, but remember, trades will always trickle in just after the deadline. They happen just before 4 by the time they're announced and get on the air. It's after 4. So, Buster, let me go back down to you. Are the Indians looking for somebody else as a catcher, and is Lucroy likely to wind up somewhere else by tomorrow?
Well, they are talking with other teams about bats, including the Yankees, about Carlos Beltran.
Sharply hit off the bat of Hayward, but Cano there to make the play.
Yeah, and the Brewers have picked up the pieces of those conversations they had with the Indians. They've moved on to talks initially with the Mets. Those didn't work out. They've had some conversations with the Atlanta Braves. And they're now talking with the Texas Rangers. Reportedly, the Rangers, according to MLB.com, are willing to include Joey Gallo, the young slugger, in return for Jonathan Lucroy.
Wow. Rangers beating Kansas City today 5-3, 4-game sweep for the Rangers over the Royals. You get the feeling Texas is going to do something, but you always thought pitching. And maybe they still will do that, but maybe Lucroy's on his way to Arlington as well.
And I think their thought is that, hey, a veteran catcher, maybe he's a guy who can help out our pitching staff.
Here's Wilson Contreras, young catcher. We were here in the ballpark in June in the game in which he had his first major league at bat, homer in his first major league at bat. This is his 15th start behind the plate. He's also made 16 out in left field for the Cubs. Well, Carlos Beltran, certainly an interesting name. As Buster mentioned, you got to assume if they traded Miller, they're going to trade Beltran. Beltran's contract is up at the end of the year. He's 39 years of age, and whether it's Cleveland, whether it's Texas.
I'd be shocked if Beltran's not gone by 4 o'clock tomorrow. And there's a lot of teams that could really use not just his bat, but his experience, what he does in the postseason.
And they're talking with Houston, and get this, guys, they're also talking with the Boston Red Sox among the teams. And yes, I think you're exactly right, Jess. If you're going to move those two back end of the bullpen relievers, you're going to move Carlos Beltran.
You're saying the Yankees and the Red Sox are engaged in trade talk?
Yeah, shades of Sparky Lyle and Danny Cater from about 5 centuries ago. Yeah, in fact, I think the Yankees have, since the end of June, have basically told other teams, look, we don't care if you're in the division or not. If you got an idea, call us.
Contreras lines one to right field, and there is Cruz to make the play. Zach Duke, fine left-handed reliever for the White Sox, was traded to St. Louis today. Buster, what do you hear about the White Sox? Sale, Quintana likely to stay or conceivably could go?
Well, they are certainly open for business according to other executives, and one of the teams that they've been talking to have been the Los Angeles Dodgers. Rival executives believe that if the Dodgers put together a big package, they could entice the White Sox. But again, that might be something where the White Sox will wait until the offseason so they can talk to more teams about Chris Sale, keep Sale and Quintana. That's the instinct of a lot of executives that I have spoken with. They believe that the Dodgers, if they get a pitcher, might be more inclined to deal with the Tampa Bay Rays. They've been talking about Chris Archer. One of the names also in those conversations, Yasiel Puig.
We get a big day today. 3 hits and a couple of RBIs for the Dodgers, but it's been a very disappointing season for him. Chris Coghlan hits one well down the right field line, but he's pulled it foul. Buster, we've set the over-under at your sleep tonight at 2.5 hours. You taking the over or the under?
He's going to sleep?
I'm definitely taking the under. 3:30 car to the airport, 6:04 back to Bristol for that show tomorrow afternoon.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
We'll be watching.
He's an animal. 1:30 to 4:30 Eastern time tomorrow. 3-hour baseball tonight. Trade deadline special. Baseball moving the deadline from July 31st to August 1st this year, just to get it away from all the games going on Sunday. Get it onto a Monday afternoon when nobody's playing at the time. Remember back in the day, you'd have guys in the on-deck circle get pulled out of the on-deck circle when they were traded in the middle of a ball game.
Just think about Wilmer Flores last year and the fact that he could be in tears thinking because of a fan telling him he's possibly going to be traded, and he doesn't. Gets to stay, becomes a hero.
Well, you know, and half the ballpark on social media following this stuff real time.
6 in a row now, set down by Felix Hernandez. Coghlan felt that one was outside. Joe Madden with Buster when we come back.
The Ford Freedom Sales Event is on, and 0 for 72 is back on 2016 Ford Focus, Fusion, and Escape. Plus, specially tagged vehicles get an extra 1,000 smart bonus. That means freedom from interest and freedom to choose with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Now get 0% financing for 72 months. Plus, specially tagged vehicles get 1,000 smart bonus. Only at the Ford Freedom Sales Event.
Find your Diet Pepsi emoji today.
You can mass produce a car, but you can't mass repair it. Get a $70 Bridgestone Visa prepaid card by mail with the purchase of 4 eligible tires. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
This is the Dell Inspiron 2-in-1. It has 4 versatile modes and a 6th-gen Intel Core processor for getting more done. Like rocking marine biology term papers or making the baddest beats on campus. Inspired by you, multitasking double major. We love your work.
Mariners up 4-0 going to the top of the 3rd here at Wrigley. Between innings, Buster Olney with Cubs manager Joe Madden.
Joe, tell me what you've seen out of Brian Matusz so far.
Some good pitches, but 2 good hitters got him for 2-run homers. High changeup to Cruz, went far. And then a 3-1 fastball probably could have made a different selection right there, but 2 good hitters have got him. He's made some good pitches otherwise.
You threatened against Felix Hernandez in the 1st inning. What adjustments did you see him make?
Well, we chased. We kept throwing the ball the same way. You saw the bat by KB. They laid off those pitches in the dirt, and then the other guys did not. So the difference was, for us to really, we're at 42 pitches, I think, after 20, which is good. We got to lay off that thing in the dirt and keep building his pitch count up, force him up in the zone.
Joe, thanks.
Kyle Seager, first pitch swinging, grounds one up the middle. Addison Russell ranging to his left will make the play. Well, those 2 pretty good hitters Joe Madden mentioned, Nelson Cruz and Robinson Cano. Cruz his 26th home run of the season, Cano his 23rd.
And that is a meaty part of an order. I don't think you can find a 3, 4, 5 in baseball with those kind of numbers and threat and the lefty, righty, lefty, including Seager in that, who also has 20 home runs.
And for the Mariners now on the season, they have 145 home runs. You think of a team like Baltimore, right? Explosive, tons of homers, left, right, and center. Baltimore's got 153 entering play today. Seattle's got 145. And although it's a little bit easier to hit them out at Safeco Field than it used to be, it's certainly not a great hitter's park by any stretch of the imagination. These guys, they rely on the home run, as you can see, but it's a big part of their offense.
Well, and they do it with those 3 premium players, premium bats in the middle of the lineup, but then great platoon options, as we've talked about. Gutierrez, 8 homers against lefties. Lee has come over from Korea and provided power, especially against left-handers. And then guys like Seth Smith and Adam Lind that really provide power against righties. So each and every night, not just their core star players in the middle, but the platoon option is great as well.
If they seem tense, you know, because of the trade deadline and everything, they're hiding it pretty well right now. End of a long road trip, heading home, hoping to get home 3 games over 500, and a win tonight would leave them 4 games out of a playoff spot. It's a loose group. Scott Service talking about how it's a veteran-laden team, and you're looking at 2 of them, and Cruz and Cano. This ball scorched into center field, a base hit for Gutierrez. With guys like Felix Hernandez, Robinson Cano, Nelson Cruz, it feels like, I don't know if hands-off approach is the right way to say it, but he's handed over a lot of the leadership to the veterans in the clubhouse and kind of trusting them to police it and do what he wants them to do. Talked about in spring training. You don't hear this much anymore. Scott Service says, I'm a big meetings guy. I love meetings. I love football. And that's where I get it from. And then, much to the delight of Jessica and myself, the La Crosse, Wisconsin native said, I'm a big Packers fan.
Yes.
So, Aaron, get with the program on. Eagles, I know. Yeah, my dad played that. Here's Lee hitting one a long way. Left center field. It is another home run for the Mariners. Their 3rd 2-run homer in as many innings. Six nothing Seattle.
Boone, you mentioned the power that Lee has, and this is an 80-mile-per-hour pitch, and look at the location. Look at his ability to be able to go down and get a curveball, moving away from his bat down in the zone, but the length and power that he has, not only to get to that pitch, but to pull it as far as he did.
We've seen with the breaking ball all night, just pitches like that almost look like they're slipping out of his hand, not getting the break, not getting the bite. And while that pitch was down, it just kind of rolled and spun in there. There's no bite to it. Easy for a hitter to track. And a hitter with power rides another one out. That might have been a changeup, actually. Just that downward action. Tough to tell if it was a breaking ball or a changeup, but another pitch that one of these power righties is able to ride out here. I think it was that breaking ball right there. Just doesn't quite have that bite, and routinely in these first few innings we continue to see it just kind of roll out of his hand.
Carl Edwards Jr. up now in the bullpen for the Cubs. 6-0 Seattle here in the 3rd inning on the heels of a big come from behind win yesterday afternoon. Nice running catch there by Rizzo in foul territory. He hauls it in to retire Zunino. Well, we mentioned Scott Service and his football mentality and his love of the Green Bay Packers, and he'll get a chance to watch them next Sunday night, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game, as they take on the Colts from Canton, Ohio. This game